Don't drink water like this. After 67 dangerous mistakes, seniors make YouTube script 4,000 words health education format, hook. 50, you have been drinking water your entire life. You know how to do it. You pick up a glass, you drink it, you put it down. Simple. You have done it tens of thousands of times. There is nothing left to learn about drinking water. That is exactly what most people over 60 believe. And that belief is quietly causing real harm. Because here is something most doctors do not have time to explain in a 10-minute appointment. The way your body handles water changes dramatically after 60. The signals change, the kidneys change, the risks change, and the mistakes that a 30-year-old can make without ever noticing them. The same mistakes can land a person over 60 in the emergency room. We are talking about confusion that looks like dementia, falls that look like clumsiness, fatigue that looks like just getting older, heart strain that goes undetected for months, all of it connected in ways most people never realize to something as simple as how they drink water. Today we are going through 7 of the most dangerous water drinking mistakes seniors make. Mistakes that are incredibly common, almost never talked about, and completely avoidable once you know what to look for. Stay with us through number 1, because that last mistake is the one most people are making right now, today, and it is the one with the most serious long-term consequences. Civet Y water is different after 60. 050 00. Before we get into the 7 mistakes, you need to understand one thing. The rules of hydration genuinely change as you get older. This is not about being fragile. It is about biology. 3 things shift significantly after 60. First, your thirst mechanism weakens. Studies published in the Journal of Gerontology have confirmed that older adults experience a measurably reduced sense of thirst even when they are clinically dehydrated. In plain terms, your body stops sending you clear warning signals when it needs water. You can be significantly underhydrated and feel perfectly fine until you are not. Second, your kidneys become less efficient at conserving water. Younger kidneys are remarkably good at holding on to water when the body needs it. Aging kidneys lose some of that ability. This means seniors lose water faster through urine, even when they are not drinking enough to replace it. Third, your total body water percentage decreases with age. A younger adult's body is roughly 60% water. By your late 60s and beyond, that number often drops to closer to 50%. Less reserve, less buffer, less tolerance for mistakes. All of this means that the same water habits that served you perfectly well at 40 can genuinely hurt you at 65. Now let us talk about the 7 specific ways that happens. Mistake 7. Waiting until you're thirsty to drink. 0. This is where most people start. And most people get it wrong. The advice sounds reasonable. Drink when you are thirsty. Your body knows when it needs water. Trust your instincts. That advice works reasonably well when you are young. It stops working reliably after 60. As we just covered, the thirst mechanism in older adults is genuinely blunted. Research from the University of Melbourne found that elderly participants who were water deprived for 24 hours reported feeling significantly less thirsty than young adults in the same condition, even though their hydration marker showed they were more severely dehydrated. What does that mean in real life? It means you can go through an entire morning of light activity, a few trips to the garden, a phone call or 2, and feel completely fine, while your body is quietly running short on the fluid it needs to keep your blood pressure stable, your kidneys filtering cleanly, and your brain functioning clearly. By the time you feel thirsty after 60, you are often already behind by 1 or 2 glasses. The fix here is simple, but it requires a shift in thinking. Stop drinking reactively and start drinking proactively. Instead of waiting for thirst to tell you to drink, build water into your day as a scheduled habit. A glass when you wake up, a glass mid-morning, a glass with lunch, a glass in the afternoon, a glass with dinner. That structure replaces a signal you can no longer fully trust. A common objection here is, what if I drink too much? We will get to that. But for the vast majority of seniors who are chronically mildly dehydrated without knowing it, drinking more consistently is the right direction to move in. The key word is consistently. Small amounts, regularly spaced throughout the day. Mistake 6, drinking too much water too quickly, 04006. Now here's the other side of that coin. And this one surprises most people. You can drink too much water. And for seniors, drinking large amounts of water in a short window of time carries a risk that most people have never heard of, a condition called hyponatremia. Hyponatremia means low sodium in the blood. Sodium is an electrolyte your body needs to regulate fluid balance, nerve function, and muscle control. When you drink a very large amount of water in a short period of time, you can dilute the sodium in your bloodstream faster than your kidneys can process the excess fluid. In healthy young adults with fully functioning kidneys, this is difficult to trigger outside of extreme athletic circumstances like marathon running. In older adults whose kidneys are already working at reduced efficiency, it can happen much more easily. The symptoms of mild hyponatremia look a lot like general unwellness: nausea, headache, confusion, fatigue, the kind of symptoms that are very easy to dismiss as just a bad day. In more serious cases, hyponatremia can cause seizures, loss of consciousness, and become life-threatening. A 2015 study published in the American Journal of Medicine found that hyponatremia is one of the most common electrolyte disorders in hospitalized elderly patients, and that many cases were linked not to illness but to excessive water intake combined with aging kidneys that could not compensate. The risk is particularly high in 3 situations. 1, after exercise or physical exertion, when people feel like they need to drink a large amount quickly to rehydrate. 2, in hot weather, when people dramatically increase their water intake in a short window. 3, when well-meaning family members or caregivers encourage a senior to drink more water without understanding the risks of drinking too much too fast. The fix is pacing. Sipping water consistently throughout the day is far safer than drinking 2 or 3 large glasses in rapid succession. Think of your daily water intake as a slow, steady stream rather than a series of floods. Mistake 5, drinking the wrong things and calling it hydration, 608. 00, let us talk about what actually counts as hydration and what is working against you while appearing to help. The most common offender is coffee. Millions of seniors start every morning with 1, 2, or 3 cups of coffee, and when asked how much water they drink, they count the coffee. Here is the problem. Caffeine is a mild diuretic. It causes your kidneys to produce more urine than they otherwise would. This means that while coffee does contribute some fluid, it also causes you to expel fluid, so the net hydration effect of coffee, particularly in large amounts, is less than it appears. The same applies to caffeinated tea, energy drinks, and sodas. They are not zero hydration. But they are not equivalent to water either, and counting them cup for cup in place of water is a mistake that leaves a lot of seniors chronically underhydrated without realizing it. Alcohol is more serious. Alcohol is a significant diuretic. A single glass of wine or beer causes your body to expel more fluid than it took in. For seniors who enjoy a glass with dinner, this is important to understand, not necessarily to stop, but to compensate. Drinking a full glass of water alongside or after an alcoholic drink helps offset the dehydrating effect. On the other side of this, some drinks that seem unhealthy are actually reasonable hydration sources. Herbal teas without caffeine, chamomile, peppermint, rooibos, count essentially the same as water. Broths and soups count. Milk counts. Even fruit contributes to daily fluid intake. A single orange contains about 4 ounces of water. A cucumber is over 95% water by weight. The point is not to ban coffee or eliminate wine. The point is to understand what your fluid intake actually looks like when you are honest about it, and to make sure plain water makes up the backbone of that intake rather than being an afterthought. Mistake 4, cutting back on water to avoid bathroom trips, 08-10. This one is extremely common, and it is one of the most quietly dangerous habits a senior can develop. It starts understandably enough. Frequent urination is a real issue for many older adults. Getting up in the night to use the bathroom disrupts sleep. Having to find a bathroom urgently while out in public is stressful and sometimes embarrassing. So the logical response for a lot of seniors is to simply drink less water. Drink less, go less. Problem solved, except the problem is not solved. It has been traded for a much larger one. Deliberate restriction of fluid intake to reduce urination is one of the most consistent pathways to chronic dehydration in the elderly population. And chronic dehydration in seniors carries consequences that go far beyond feeling thirsty. The urinary system consequences alone are serious. Concentrated, low-volume urine is a primary driver of urinary tract infections in older adults. UTIs are already the most common bacterial infection in seniors, and they do not always present the way you would expect. In older adults, a UTI frequently shows up not as burning urination, but as sudden fusion, agitation, weakness, and falls. Many families watching a loved one decline have unknowingly been watching an untreated or recurring UTI caused in part by chronic underhydration. Beyond the urinary system, chronic dehydration in seniors affects the kidneys, the joints, the cardiovascular system, and the brain. Kidney stones become more likely. Blood pressure becomes harder to regulate. Joint lubrication decreases and arthritis pain worsens. Cognitive performance measurably declines. If nighttime urination is the concern, the practical answer is timing rather than restriction. Drink the majority of your fluids earlier in the day, morning through mid-afternoon, and taper off in the evening hours. This approach allows for adequate daily hydration without loading the bladder overnight. Cutting water out is not the answer. Distributing it more intelligently is. Midpoint, re-engagement, 10-10-20. We are halfway through the 7 mistakes. If any of these have made you think about your own daily habits or someone you care for, hit subscribe right now. Every week, we cover the health habits that matter most for people over 60, the ones your doctor knows but rarely has time to explain. Most people watching this have not subscribed yet. Change that before we get into the top 3. Mistake 3, ignoring the signs of dehydration, 10-20-12-20. Here is something important. If you cannot rely on thirst to tell you when you need water, what can you rely on? There are signs. They are not the dramatic signs people expect. A parched mouth, dizziness, feeling faint. Those are signs of significant dehydration that has already been going on for a while. We are talking about earlier, subtler signals. The ones that show up first, that most people dismiss or never connect to water at all. Sign number 1 is the color of your urine. This is the most reliable, most consistent, and most underused indicator of hydration status available to anyone. Pale straw yellow, like very weak lemonade, is your target. That color indicates you are well hydrated. Dark yellow, amber, or orange means you are behind on fluids and need to drink. If your urine is consistently dark through the day, your body has been signaling dehydration to you every single time and the message has not been received. Sign number 2 is headache. One of the most common causes of nonspecific headache, the kind that starts mid-morning or early afternoon without a clear cause, is mild dehydration. Before reaching for a pain reliever, drink a full glass of water and wait 20 minutes. A surprising number of these headaches resolve on their own. Sign number 3 is fatigue that comes on in the afternoon. The post-lunch energy dip that many people attribute to their meal or their age is often at least partially driven by mild dehydration. Your blood becomes slightly thicker when you are underhydrated, meaning your heart has to work slightly harder to pump it. That extra cardiac workload is experienced as tiredness. Sign number 4 is difficulty concentrating or mild mental fog. The brain is roughly 75% water. Even mild dehydration of 1 to 2% of body weight has been shown in multiple studies to impair memory, attention, and mental processing speed. The cognitive changes of mild dehydration look strikingly similar to what many people attribute to normal aging. Some of what we accept as mental slowing may simply be chronic mild dehydration showing up in the brain. Sign number 5 is muscle cramps, particularly in the legs and feet. Nighttime leg cramps are among the most reported complaints in seniors, and while they have multiple causes, dehydration is a significant one. Fluid balance affects the electrical signaling that tells muscles when to contract and when to release. When that balance is off, muscles misfire. The result is the painful, involuntary cramping that wakes many seniors in the night. None of these signs on their own prove dehydration. But if you are experiencing several of them regularly and your urine is consistently dark, the most logical first step is simply drinking more water consistently throughout the day before assuming something more complex is going on. Mistake 2, not adjusting water intake for medications. 1220 to 1420, this is the mistake that almost nobody talks about. And for the senior population, where the average person over 65 takes between 4 and 7 prescription medications daily, it may be the most practically important one on this list. Many common medications affect how your body handles water. Some cause fluid loss, some cause fluid retention. Some change how your kidneys respond to hydration. And the interaction between these medications and your daily water intake is something most prescribing doctors do not have time to walk through in detail. The most important category is diuretics, medications that increase urine production to lower blood pressure or reduce fluid buildup. Brand names like Lasix, hydrochlorothiazide, and furosemide are among the most commonly prescribed drugs for seniors with heart conditions or high blood pressure. Diuretics by definition increase fluid loss. A senior on a diuretic who is also restricting water to avoid bathroom trips is creating a perfect storm for dehydration. A second important category is ACE inhibitors and certain blood pressure medications that affect kidney function. These medications change how your kidneys regulate sodium and water balance, and they can increase the risk of dangerous electrolyte imbalances when combined with very high or very low water intake. Laxatives, particularly stimulant laxatives used for constipation, cause significant fluid loss through the digestive system. Regular use without compensating fluid intake contributes meaningfully to chronic dehydration. Even common over-the-counter medications matter. Antihistamines, found in many allergy and sleep medications, have an antidiuretic effect that reduces urine output but also causes fluid to be distributed less efficiently in the body. NSAIDs like ibuprofen reduce blood flow to the kidneys and make them less able to handle dehydration safely. The practical step here is not to stop taking your medications. It is to have a specific conversation with your doctor or pharmacist about how your current medication list affects your hydration needs. Ask directly, do any of my medications increase my fluid loss or change how much water I should be drinking? The answer will be more specific and more useful than any general advice about daily water intake. Mistake 1, drinking unfiltered or contaminated water without knowing it. 14, 16, 30, here is number 1. And this one is not about how much you drink or when you drink it. It is about what is actually in the water you are drinking. Most people in the United States believe their tap water is safe because it meets EPA regulatory standards. And in most cases, meeting those standards means the water will not make a healthy adult acutely ill. But meeting minimum regulatory standards and being optimally safe for a senior with changing kidney function, changing medication needs, and a potentially compromised immune system are two very different things. There are specific concerns that are elevated for older adults. The first is lead. Lead contamination in drinking water is far more widespread than most Americans realize. The EPA's own data estimates that between 6 and 10 million homes in the United States still receive water through lead service lines or have lead-containing plumbing components. Lead exposure is harmful at any age. In seniors, where kidney function is already reduced, lead clearance is slower and accumulation happens more easily. Neurological effects, cognitive decline, memory problems are associated with chronic low-level lead exposure. The second is nitrates. High nitrate levels in water, particularly common in rural areas near agricultural land, are associated with disrupted oxygen transport in the blood. This is primarily known as a risk for infants, but emerging research suggests that seniors with certain health conditions, including cardiovascular disease and reduced kidney function, may also be more vulnerable to nitrate exposure than the general adult population. The third is disinfection byproducts. When chlorine, used to disinfect municipal water, reacts with organic matter in the water supply, it produces a class of compounds called trihalomethanes and haloacetic acids. These are permitted at low levels by EPA standards, but long-term exposure has been associated in some studies with increased risk of certain health conditions. Older adults with longer exposure histories and reduced detoxification capacity deserve to pay attention to this. The fourth is water softeners. Many seniors live in homes with water softening systems that exchange calcium and magnesium ions for sodium ions. The result is water that is easier on pipes and appliances, but significantly higher in sodium. For seniors managing blood pressure, heart failure, or kidney disease, the sodium added by a water softener can be a meaningful and invisible contributor to their daily sodium intake, one that neither they nor their doctor may be accounting for. The practical answer is not to panic about your tap water. It is to know your water. Most municipal water utilities are legally required to publish annual water quality reports, sometimes called consumer confidence reports, that list what is in your water and at what levels. These reports are usually available on your utility's website or by calling them directly. Reading that report once a year takes 15 minutes and gives you real, specific information rather than general assumptions. If your report shows elevated levels of any contaminant, or if you are on a private well which is not regulated by the EPA at all, investing in a quality water filter is worth serious consideration. A certified carbon block or reverse osmosis filter addresses most of the contaminants discussed here. Not all filters are equal. Look for NSF International certification, which means the filter has been independently tested to perform as claimed for seniors on water softeners who are managing cardiovascular or kidney conditions. Ask your doctor specifically whether the added sodium in your softened water should be factored into your dietary sodium limits. This is the mistake most people never consider because water feels like the safest, most neutral thing they consume all day. For most people in most circumstances it is. But knowing what is actually in your water, rather than assuming, is a level of care that costs almost nothing and could matter more than any supplement or health product you are currently buying. The 7 mistakes. Quick recap, 1630 to 17. Let us run through all 7 one more time. Mistake 7, waiting until you are thirsty to drink. Your thirst signal is no longer reliable after 60. Schedule your water instead. Mistake 6, drinking too much water too quickly. Flooding your system with large amounts at once risks dangerous sodium dilution. Sip consistently throughout the day. Mistake 5, counting coffee, alcohol, and sugary drinks as hydration. Know what is actually contributing to your fluid intake and make water the foundation. Mistake 4, restricting water to avoid bathroom trips. This trades a minor inconvenience for serious long-term health consequences. Time your intake instead of cutting it. Mistake 3, ignoring the subtle signs of dehydration. Urine color, headaches, afternoon fatigue, mental fog, and muscle cramps are all signals your body is sending. Learn to read them. Mistake 2, not adjusting your water intake for medications. Many of the most commonly prescribed drugs for seniors directly affect hydration. Ask your doctor or pharmacist specifically. Mistake 1, drinking water without knowing what is in it. Know your water source, read your water quality report, filter when needed, and consider the impact of water softeners if you are managing heart or kidney conditions. Blee closing, 1717. 40. Here is what we want you to take away from this today. Water is not complicated, but the way your body handles water after 60 is genuinely different from the way it handled it before. And the habits that worked fine for decades can quietly start working against you without any dramatic warning signs. The good news is that every single mistake on this list is fixable. None of them require expensive supplements or dramatic lifestyle changes. They require awareness. They require a small shift in how you think about something you have been doing automatically your whole life. Start with one thing. Pick the mistake that resonated most with you today. Just one. Make one change this week. That is enough. Which of these 7 surprised you the most? Drop it in the comments right now. We read every single one. And if there is someone in your life over 60 who you think needs to hear this, share this video with them. It costs nothing and it might genuinely matter. Hit subscribe for more videos exactly like this one. Every week, real health information for people over 60, the kind that is evidence-based, clearly explained, and actually useful in daily life. We will see you in the next one. Total word count, 4,050 words, estimated runtime, 16 to 18 minutes at standard speaking pace.